You wake up and your phone is already full. Texts, messages, notifications, people wanting answers, attention, energy. You feel drained, but still you reply. You don't want to seem rude. You don't want to disappoint anyone. So you stay reachable, always available, always responding. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become invisible. The more you show up for everyone, the less they value your presence. The more available you are, the more they take you for granted. That's the trap. And it's not your fault. It's how human nature works. People respect what they can't always access. It's unfair, but it's real. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And that includes using others as a distraction. When you are always reachable, you become the one they call when they don't want to deal with themselves. You become the escape, not the person, not the soul, just the option. And when they're done with their storm, they leave you in your silence, drained, confused, forgotten. This is where many people live, between being needed and being ignored, between being wanted in moments of crisis and forgotten in moments of peace. And it hurts. But what if you stopped being so easy to reach? What if you stopped explaining yourself all the time? What if you didn't reply right away? What if your time, your space, your energy were no longer up for grabs? Everything would change. You would stop attracting chaos and start attracting respect. You would stop being the emergency number for people who wouldn't pick up for you. You would stop feeling like your kindness is being traded for convenience. Because when you create space, you create clarity. And people can finally see who you are, not just what you do for them. There is something powerful about being unavailable, not as a game, not as revenge, but as a way to protect your energy. When you stop being easy to reach, you give yourself permission to grow. You finally have time to think, reflect, rest. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You stop moving to other people's rhythms and start dancing to your own pace. And that is when your life begins to feel different, not louder, not busier, just more yours. Most people fear silence because silence reveals truth. But if you can sit with your silence long enough, you'll realize the truth is that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. You're not cold for stepping back. You're not rude for saying no. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're growing. You're learning. You're becoming stronger. And that means you must change the way you move, the way you speak, the way you respond, the way you let others treat you. When you're always available, people forget your value. When you step back, people remember your presence. The most respected people are not always present. They are intentional. They are rare. They are grounded because they are not pulled in every direction. They are not owned by their phone, their inbox, or the expectations of others. They are centered, and that's why people listen when they speak. That's why their silence speaks louder than most people's words. Being hard to reach doesn't mean disappearing. It means showing up on purpose. It means being where your soul is respected. It means giving your energy to things that matter. It means knowing the difference between being needed and being used. And most importantly, it means you no longer define yourself by how often you show up for others. You define yourself by how deeply you show up for yourself. Human nature is wired to chase. The more someone pulls away, the more others are drawn in. But you don't need to pull away to play games. You just need to honor your energy. Because when people know they can't reach you every time they want to, they start choosing their words carefully. They start respecting your space. They start seeing you not as a tool, but as a human being with limits. And that's when everything starts to shift. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to post to prove your worth. You don't have to explain every move to be understood. Your peace is your power. Your silence is your strength. Your distance is your protection. You don't owe everyone access. You don't owe everyone an answer. And you don't owe anyone your constant presence. Some things are sacred. Your energy is one of them. And once you stop being so easy to reach, the world around you will start treating you differently. And that is when your healing begins. So, if this message already speaks to something deep inside you, if you've been feeling tired, used, drained, or forgotten, then you need to hear this loud and clear. You're allowed to disappear from the noise to reconnect with your power. You're allowed to step away from the crowd to rediscover your peace. You are allowed to become hard to reach so you can become impossible to replace. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I will protect my energy at all costs. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment your truth and subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, don't skip any part of this video, because what you'll hear next will change how you think, how you love, and how you protect yourself from now on. Number 1. The illusion of constant connection. We live in a world where being connected is easy. A message can reach someone in seconds. A photo can be shared instantly. A voice note can carry feelings across thousands of miles. We are more reachable than ever before. But even in this world full of fast connections, people feel more alone than ever. This is not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. It's the cost of living in a world that confuses noise with care and attention with love. The truth is, being constantly connected does not mean you are truly seen or valued. In fact, it often hides the opposite. It hides how easily people forget the meaning of presence. When someone always replies, always answers, always shows up, people start to treat that presence like background noise, something always there, something they don't need to earn, something they can interrupt, use, and leave whenever it suits them. That's not connection, that's consumption. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important." Think about that. You can be texting someone all day and still feel completely unseen. You can have hundreds of people watching your stories and still feel completely ignored. You can be in a crowded group chat and still feel like you are screaming into silence. That's what constant connection does. It fools you into thinking you're not alone, when in reality, no one is actually listening. No one is actually present. No one is actually holding space for who you really are. There is a strange pain in being easy to reach, because people come to you when they're bored, when they're sad, when they want to vent. But they don't always come with care. They don't always check on you. They don't always ask how you are. They assume you're strong. They assume you're available. They assume you'll keep giving, no matter how tired you are. You become the comfort in their storm. But when the skies clear, they forget you were there. They forget your silence. They forget your sleepless nights. They forget your effort. This is the part no one talks about. The loneliness of being the one who is always reachable, always replying, always listening. Over time, you begin to notice something strange. The more you reply, the more people expect it. The more available you are, the less special your time feels to them. You start to feel like a machine, answering, explaining, reacting, trying to keep up, trying to be everywhere. But deep down, you feel empty. Because all this connection is not feeding your soul, it's draining it. You begin to feel like your worth is tied to how fast you respond, how often you check in, how much you show up. But that's not love. That's pressure. That's survival. And it leaves no space for peace. People won't say it, but they start to look at you differently when you're always around. You stop being the person they admire. You become the person they assume. Your value fades into the background. They stop choosing you because they believe they already have you. And the more you offer, the less they ask how you feel. Because in their eyes, you've made yourself too easy. You've given too much, and they no longer see the difference between your real care and their convenience. When you are always connected, you stop protecting your space. And when your space is no longer protected, anyone can enter. People with bad intentions, people with no respect, people who are only there to take. And you may not notice it at first, but your peace begins to vanish. Your mind becomes loud, your heart becomes heavy. You feel tired, not from doing too much, but from giving too much of yourself to people who do not give back. That is the illusion of constant connection. It looks full, but feels empty. It looks active, but feels ignored. It looks busy, but feels lonely. You are not supposed to be available to everyone all the time. That is not strength. That is a slow form of self-destruction. It is a life where your value becomes tied to how others use you, not how you honor yourself. That is not what your life is meant to be. Your presence is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your attention is sacred. And it should only go where it is respected, not where it is expected. Being harder to reach doesn't make you distant. It makes you powerful. It gives you space to choose who you allow into your life. It gives you time to understand your own thoughts, your own dreams, your own voice. It reminds people that your presence is not promised. It is earned. It teaches others that you are not just a message away. You are a person with boundaries, a person with a soul, a person who deserves rest. The illusion of constant connection is this. It makes you believe that being present for others will bring you peace. But true peace doesn't come from being reachable. It comes from being respected. It comes from being understood. It comes from being valued, not for how much you give, but for who you are. And when you start to step back from being constantly connected, you start to feel that peace again. You start to see who checks in when you're silent, who listens when you speak gently, who stays when you stop overgiving. You begin to find strength in your silence. You begin to find peace in your absence. You begin to feel powerful in your decision to stop being everywhere. And that is when real connection begins. Not through constant talking, not through endless updates, but through mutual respect, through shared silence, through chosen presence. You do not have to explain why you need space. You do not have to apologize for not replying fast. You do not have to feel guilty for turning off your phone, for stepping away, for protecting your soul. You are not a signal. You are not a service. You are a human being, and you deserve the right to disconnect in order to heal. If you've ever felt exhausted by always being reachable, I want you to know, you are not weak. You are just waking up to the truth. And the truth is, not everyone should have access to your energy. Not everyone should get to interrupt your peace. Not everyone deserves your immediate attention. You do not have to give what costs you your soul. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I'm not easy to reach. I'm hard to forget. Number 2. How availability dilutes respect. Respect is something we all want, but few people understand where it comes from. It does not come from being nice all the time. It does not come from saying yes to everything. And it definitely does not come from being available whenever someone calls your name. In fact, the more available you are, the less people tend to value your time. The more you are around, the easier it becomes for people to take you for granted. This is not because you are not worthy. It's because human nature works in strange ways. We respect what we have to earn. We treasure what we cannot always reach. And we learn to appreciate what comes with boundaries. When you are always available, people forget to notice your effort. They stop seeing your time as a gift. They start thinking they are entitled to your energy. They believe you owe them your attention. And once they believe that, they stop thanking you. They stop checking on you. They stop respecting the weight you carry. Your presence turns into something expected, not something honored. And little by little, they stop seeing the value in you. Think about someone who always answers their phone right away, who always cancels their plans to show up, who always makes room even when they are tired. At first, people might call that love or loyalty, but over time, that same person becomes invisible in their effort. People stop noticing how much it costs them. They stop seeing how much they give up just to be present. And in that silence, respect begins to disappear, because what is always there stops feeling special. It becomes background noise, it becomes routine, and nothing kills respect faster than routine that's taken for granted. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become who you truly are if you are always busy being what everyone else needs? If you are always available to others, you never have time to listen to yourself. You never have the space to build your own dreams. You spend your life answering calls that don't feed your spirit. You spend your days giving pieces of yourself to people who don't even pause to ask how you feel. And in the end, you wonder why no one sees your worth. But how can they, when you've trained them to believe that your time belongs to them? Respect comes from space. Respect comes from limits. Respect grows in the silence between moments. When someone can't reach you right away, they have time to think. They have time to reflect. They begin to notice what your presence really means. They begin to ask if they've been taking you for granted. They begin to wonder if they've earned the right to keep calling you, texting you, asking from you. And that wondering builds respect. That pause reminds them that you are not a machine. You are a person with needs, with a life, with your own path. If you are always there, people get lazy. They don't say thank you. They don't show care. They just reach for you like you're a tool, not a soul. And when that happens, something inside you starts to die. Your joy fades, your energy drains, your spirit dims. Because no matter how strong you are, being constantly used without being appreciated breaks the human heart. It leaves you feeling small. It leaves you feeling invisible. It leaves you wondering if anyone actually sees you or if they only see what you can do for them. But the moment you stop being so available, everything starts to shift. The moment you stop replying right away, people begin to notice your absence. The moment you stop saying yes so easily, people start to think before they ask. The moment you step back, people are forced to face what they've taken for granted. And in that shift, respect begins to return. Because respect is born in the places where people realize they cannot treat you like an object. Respect is built when people understand that your time is not free, your energy is not unlimited, and your presence is not a given. You teach people how to treat you, and every time you answer a call you didn't want to take, every time you show up when you're exhausted, every time you put their needs above your peace, you are teaching them that your boundaries don't matter. You are teaching them that you are always there, even when it hurts you. And they will believe that story for as long as you keep playing that role. But when you stop, when you draw the line, when you say no without guilt, everything changes. People get uncomfortable. Some get angry. Some disappear. But the ones who stay, the ones who adjust, who respect, who understand, those are the ones who were meant to be in your life all along. Being less available does not make you selfish. It makes you aware of your value, aware of your needs, aware of your right to choose where your energy goes. It shows that you are not afraid to be missed, that you are not afraid to be alone, that you are not here to be everyone's savior at the cost of your soul. It shows that you are growing, that you are no longer begging for crumbs of attention, that you are finally standing in your worth. You are not less kind because you are less available. You are not less loving because you protect your time. You are not less good because you said no. You are just tired of being drained. You are just tired of being taken lightly. You are just ready to be respected for who you are, not just what you can offer. And that is the beginning of a new story. one where your presence is no longer a default, one where your value is felt in your silence, one where people look for your light because they know it's rare. You were never meant to be always reachable. You were never meant to be always saying yes. You were never meant to give until there's nothing left of you. You were meant to be whole. You were meant to be wise. You were meant to be respected, not for being constantly present, but for being powerfully selective with your time. If you're tired of feeling invisible, start by being less available. If you want more respect, stop giving access to everyone. Let people earn your presence. Let people work to stay in your life. Let people see that your time is not open for just anyone. And watch how fast the respect comes back. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My time is rare. My respect is earned. Number 3. The slow death of self through overexposure. When you give too much of yourself to the world, something inside you starts to break. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not loud. It doesn't come with warning signs. It's slow. It's quiet. But it's real. Every time you let someone into your world without thinking, a part of you becomes smaller. Every time you explain your pain to someone who doesn't care, your voice feels weaker. Every time you open your heart in places that don't deserve it, your soul becomes more tired. You keep showing up, you keep talking, you keep sharing, but inside, you begin to disappear. Overexposure is when you give away your truth without boundaries. It's when your thoughts are always on display. It's when people know everything about you before you even know what it means for yourself. It's when your heart is constantly seen, but never truly understood. You speak so often that your silence loses its value. You post so much that your presence becomes noise. You talk to everyone, but nobody really knows you. And the worst part is, you begin to feel like you're no one, because you've handed out pieces of yourself like they're free, and now you don't know what's left to protect. Carl Jung once said, "The more the unconscious is avoided, the more it influences our lives. When you are always exposing yourself to others, you lose touch with your inner world. You stop listening to your quiet voice. You forget how to feel without performing. You no longer ask what you want or what you need. You only ask what others want to hear from you. And little by little, you become a mirror for their approval. You become a version of yourself that exists only for validation. And the real you, the one who needed stillness and reflection, begins to vanish. Overexposure destroys the mystery that makes you powerful. When people know too much, they stop being curious. When you give everything too soon, they don't feel the need to explore deeper. They make quick judgments. They label you. They define you based on pieces of truth they didn't earn. And those labels stick, even if they're wrong, even if they don't match your growth. Because once you've been overexposed, people think they've seen everything. And when people think they've seen everything, they stop looking, they stop wondering, they stop caring. And that's how you lose yourself in their shallow version of you. When you are always reachable, always explaining, always visible, people stop seeing you as someone they need to protect. They start seeing you as someone they can use. You become the person they vent to, the one they call when they're bored, the one they ask for advice but never listen to. You become a background character in their story. You don't realize it at first. You think you're being helpful. You think you're being kind. But what's really happening is that your soul is becoming exhausted. You start to feel lonely in the middle of all your conversations. You start to feel unseen, even when you're surrounded by people. You can't grow when everyone has access to your inner life. You can't heal when your pain is always open to opinions. You can't build confidence when your every move is up for judgment. Sometimes silence is the only way to return home to yourself. Sometimes disappearing is the most honest way to reconnect with your truth. When you talk too much about your struggles, people start to see you as weak. When you share every win, people stop feeling happy for you. When you always let people in, they stop knocking. And in all that, you slowly lose your sense of self-worth. There is strength in privacy. There is power in keeping some things sacred. Your dreams, your thoughts, your fears, your healing, all of these deserve protection. They are not content for the world to consume. They are parts of you that require care, time, and silence. When you overexpose yourself, you invite opinions that don't belong. You let people shape your story with their limited understanding. You allow others to define your worth based on their own broken lenses. And if you're not careful, you start believing them. You start molding yourself into what they expect. And before you know it, you can't find your true self anymore. The death of self is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the way you stop trusting your own voice. Sometimes it's the way you second-guess your choices. Sometimes it's how you change your mind because of what someone else might say. You're alive, but disconnected. You're breathing, but lost. You're talking, but not being heard. And it all started when you gave too much, too fast, to too many people who never valued what they were given. You deserve to be known deeply, not widely. You deserve to be heard by people who care, not by people who gossip. You deserve to be understood, not judged. You deserve a space where you don't have to explain yourself, a space where your silence is respected, a space where your presence doesn't have to be loud to be meaningful. That space begins with you. It begins with your decision to protect your inner world. It begins when you say no to the need for constant exposure. It begins when you step back from the noise and return to the stillness where your real self lives. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to update everyone about your journey. You don't have to be present in places where your value isn't seen. You are allowed to grow in silence. You are allowed to keep some things private. You are allowed to be a mystery, because mystery is not about hiding. It's about protecting. It's about knowing that your soul is not for sale. It's about remembering that your worth does not depend on how many people see you, but on how deeply you know yourself. So, if you feel lost, if you feel invisible, if you feel like you've become a stranger to yourself, ask if you've been giving too much of your truth to a world that doesn't care to understand it. Ask if you've been overexposed. Ask if it's time to go quiet again. Not because you're broken, not because you're weak, but because you need space to find your center again, because you need time to rebuild your soul, because your voice is sacred and not everyone deserves to hear it. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my peace. I honor my silence. I return to myself. Number 4, the power of being missed. There is something powerful about not being around all the time. When people don't see you often, they begin to feel your absence. They start to wonder about you. They think about the things you used to say, the way you made them feel, and the silence you've left behind. This is not about playing games or making others chase you. It's about understanding your worth. When you are always there, people stop noticing your value. But when you step away, something shifts. They begin to remember you with more respect. They feel the space you used to fill. That space becomes a mirror, showing them how much they've been taking for granted. Being missed is not about being loved by everyone. It's about being remembered by the right ones. When you create space, you give others a chance to notice what they had. You give them time to think. You give them moments to sit in silence and feel what life is like without your presence. And in that silence, the truth often speaks louder than any words. Some people will feel guilty. Some will feel empty. Some will finally realize the weight of your kindness, your effort, and your energy. That realization doesn't come when you're always around. It only comes when you're gone. Carl Jung once said, "Solitude is not absence of love, but its complement." That means stepping back is not rejection. It's a sign of deeper awareness. It shows that love is not about being everywhere all the time. True love, true respect, true value, they grow in the space where people reflect. They grow when someone is no longer in front of you, and yet their presence is still felt in your thoughts. That's the power of being missed. It brings clarity. It opens eyes. It brings emotions to the surface that were buried under comfort and routine. People don't remember noise. They remember impact. And sometimes your biggest impact comes after you've gone quiet. When you stop messaging first. When you stop being the one to fix things. When you stop making the effort alone. That's when people are left to face what they've lost. Some won't care, but some will. And those are the ones who will step forward. They will reach out. They will change. Not because you begged them to, but because your absence showed them what your presence truly meant. You teach people how to value you by how you remove yourself. If you always stay after being disrespected, you teach them you don't need respect. If you keep showing up for those who never show up for you, you teach them you don't need balance. If you respond instantly to everyone, no matter how they treat you, you teach them your time is not special. But when you step back, you begin to teach a new lesson. A lesson that says, I am not a background option. I am not here to be used. I am not available to those who do not value me. That's a powerful message, and it doesn't require any words. People will notice the change. Some will think you're angry. Some will think you're cold. Some will not understand it at all. That's okay. You are not here to explain your peace to everyone. You are here to protect it. And peace needs space. Peace needs silence. Peace needs time away from chaos. By giving yourself that space, you begin to heal. You begin to find strength in being alone. And the more comfortable you become with solitude, the less you fear walking away. That's when people begin to respect you. Because now they know. They can't just reach for you anytime they want. They have to earn that right. Being missed doesn't mean disappearing forever. It means choosing presence wisely. It means not wasting your energy on places where it's not appreciated. It means giving people the gift of your absence so they can finally see your true worth. And when they do, their behavior changes. They become more present, more thoughtful, more grateful. Because they now know they don't want to feel that empty space again. There's beauty in being missed. It means you mattered. It means your energy left a mark. It means you weren't just filling time, you were making a difference. And that's something you should protect. If your presence carries power, don't hand it out carelessly. Don't let it be consumed without appreciation. Hold it close. Give it to those who honor it. Let your absence be a reminder that you are not just someone. They can't just replace you. Overexposure makes people blind to your value, but distance clears their vision. And in that space, the truth appears. If they care, they'll come back with more respect. If they don't, they were never meant to stay. Either way, your silence will speak. It will separate the real from the fake, the grateful from the greedy, the loyal from the temporary. And you will finally see who was walking with you, not just walking near you. You are not less kind because you choose distance. You are not less loving because you want peace. You are not being cruel by creating boundaries. You are growing. You are healing. You are becoming whole again. And in that process, some people will miss you. Some will understand. Some will change. That's the reward of choosing yourself. You no longer wait to be valued. You give yourself value first. And when people miss you, they miss someone who respects themselves. That is something no one can fake. Don't be afraid to be missed. Don't rush to fill every gap. Don't fear what others will think if you stop showing up all the time. Trust that your presence is strong enough to leave a memory. Trust that your silence will be felt more than your words ever were. Trust that the right people will feel your absence, and they will grow because of it. You are not a shadow, you are the sun. When you walk away, the cold is noticed. When you're gone, the world feels a little different. That is the kind of impact your spirit holds. Protect it, trust it. Let it be missed, not because you vanished, but because you finally chose yourself. Number 5. When you stop giving, you see who was just taking. Some truths only appear when you stop giving. As long as you're the one always helping, listening, calling, supporting, fixing and making time, you can't see who's only staying for the benefit. But the moment you pause, the moment you stop reaching out first, the moment you let silence sit between you and them, you finally see who was just taking from you. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's just real. When you stop feeding someone's needs, their true intention begins to surface. And often, it's not what you hoped it would be. People reveal themselves in your silence. They show their truth when they no longer have something to gain. When you are no longer constantly giving your energy, attention, and time, some people simply vanish. Not because you did something wrong, not because you changed, but because they were never there for you. They were there for what you provided. That's a painful truth to face, especially when you've loved these people, supported them, stood by them in their darkest moments. But that truth is also freedom. It sets you free from illusions. It clears out the fog and shows you who genuinely values you, not just your usefulness. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Some will keep taking from others so they never have to give to themselves. They use your light because they've never built their own. They come to you with their problems, but disappear when it's your turn to speak. They love what you do, not who you are. And as long as you keep giving, they will stay comfortable in that pattern. But when you stop, the whole system breaks. And the silence shows what words could never explain. There are people who only call when they need something. People who only come close when they're hurting. People who only say, "I miss you," when their life is falling apart. But where are they when you need support? Where are they when you're quiet, hurting, or tired? If someone disappears the moment you stop giving, they were never holding your hand, they were holding your help. There's a big difference. And the only way to see that difference is to stop offering everything all the time. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You don't need to post quotes or send long explanations. Just stop. Stop calling. Stop checking in. Stop giving your energy where it isn't returned. And then observe. Watch who still shows up. Watch who asks how you're doing. Watch who gives without being prompted. That is the truth. And while it may hurt at first, it's also deeply healing, because now you are no longer blind to who is draining your spirit. There's a kind of peace that comes when you no longer chase people who don't see your worth. When you stop giving to the wrong people, your heart starts to breathe again. Your mind becomes clearer. Your days feel lighter, because you are no longer carrying emotional debt. You're no longer pouring into cups that never once tried to pour into you. You're no longer trying to prove your value. And that's the shift that changes everything. You don't need to convince anyone to love you, respect you, or stay loyal to you. The right ones already will, and they won't need anything from you to do it. People who truly care won't disappear when you stop giving. They'll notice the shift. They'll ask if you're okay. They'll offer their time. They'll bring comfort, not take more. You won't need to be useful to them. You can just be, and that will be enough. That kind of connection is rare, but you'll never find it if your life is crowded with people who only stay when your hands are full. Sometimes the takers in your life don't even realize what they're doing. They've just grown used to your kindness. They've come to expect it. You've been their comfort, their emotional sponge, their free therapy. But when you step back, they are forced to face the empty space where your giving used to be, and they'll either grow or go. If they grow, they will start giving back. They will understand the balance. They'll begin to show up for you too. But if they go, then let them, because someone who leaves when you stop giving was never there for you to begin with. You were not created to be a lifeline for those who never throw one back. You were not born to be a giver to people who only take. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to be poured into. You are allowed to stop giving when you feel drained. And you are allowed to protect your peace from those who have confused your kindness with weakness. It's not selfish to stop giving. It's self-respect. It's a boundary. It's how you save your spirit from being used up by people who don't even say thank you. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to explain. Just take a step back and let the truth show itself. Let people reveal who they are when they no longer have access to what you always gave so freely. Your energy is not endless. Your love is not cheap. Your time is not something to be wasted. You are valuable. And the ones who deserve to be close to you will understand that. They will not need constant giving to stay. They will stay because they see your soul, not just your service. When you stop giving, you see. You see who was loyal. You see who was only there for convenience. You see who deserves your return. And most importantly, you start giving to yourself again. You begin to heal the parts that were stretched thin for others. You begin to feel whole in your own company. You remember what it feels like to rest, and you no longer crave attention from those who only cared when you were useful. Number 6. Silence makes you mysterious, and mystery builds respect. When you're always talking, always posting, always explaining yourself, people feel like they already know everything about you. And when people feel like they know everything, they stop paying attention. But when you become silent, when you speak less, share less, show less, something powerful happens. You become mysterious. People begin to wonder what's on your mind. They start to question what you're thinking, what you're planning, what's going on in your world. That mystery creates space. And in that space, respect grows. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But before people accept you, they first need to notice you." And silence makes people notice. In a noisy world where everyone is constantly trying to be seen and heard, the one who is calm and silent stands out. They feel different. Their presence is felt even when they're not speaking. That quiet confidence is rare, and rare things are respected. Think about this. When someone always speaks their mind, you begin to predict what they'll say. When they post every detail of their life, you stop being curious. When they explain themselves constantly, their words start to lose weight. But someone who speaks carefully, who shows less, who stays calm and distant, that person becomes harder to read. And what we can't easily read, we respect more. We lean in, we wonder, we remember. Mystery is not manipulation. It's restraint. It's the strength to hold your energy back. It's the discipline to not react to every little thing. It's the wisdom to know that not everyone deserves full access to your thoughts, emotions, and life. You don't owe the world an explanation for everything you do. You don't have to tell people your next move, your feelings, or your struggles. Sometimes keeping things to yourself isn't hiding. It's healing. It's choosing peace over performance. People talk too much when they're unsure of themselves. They over-explain, they overshare, they look for validation. But the person who is grounded, who knows who they are, doesn't need to be loud. Their silence speaks. Their calmness becomes a mystery. Their energy pulls people in, not by force, but by presence. Have you ever met someone who didn't say much, but when they did, everyone listened? That's not an accident. That's power. That's the result of saying only what matters. That's what happens when you protect your words and emotions. People start to value what you say more because you don't waste words. You don't give away your thoughts freely. And that creates respect. It creates weight. There's something about not knowing everything that makes us value it more. When people can't read you like a book, they slow down. They watch more carefully. They listen more closely. They stop assuming things. They stop taking you for granted. That's the power of being unpredictable. That's the strength of being calm. That's the beauty of being quiet. People reveal their weakness when they speak too soon. They give away their fears. They show their insecurities. They let others know what gets to them. But the silent person stays protected. No one knows what triggers them. No one knows what makes them weak. They keep their emotions guarded, and that protection becomes power. Because when people can't predict you, they can't control you. We live in a world that pushes you to be loud. Social media, group chats, endless small talk, it all demands constant performance. But when you break that pattern and choose silence, you create your own space. You step back. You stop dancing for attention. You stop feeding the noise. And in that stillness, you gain something far more valuable than attention. You gain presence. Your silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you don't need to say everything. It means you are saving your energy for moments that matter. It means you are becoming more in control of your life. And that control makes people notice. They see you differently. They start to wonder what's going on inside your head. They treat you with more care. Because mystery demands respect. Think of someone you deeply admire. Chances are they don't talk all the time. They carry themselves with quiet confidence. They don't rush to speak, but when they do, their words land. They're not the loudest in the room, but they're the most respected. That's what you become when you choose silence over noise. You become someone people don't just hear. You become someone they remember. When you're always available, always speaking, always reacting, people get used to you. But when you pull back, when you stay quiet and let your actions speak, people can't figure you out so easily. And that's a good thing, because what people can't figure out, they can't use. What they don't understand, they don't take lightly. And what feels rare is always respected more than what feels common. The truth is, mystery protects your spirit. It protects your energy. It keeps your emotions from being dragged into useless conversations and fake attention. When you're mysterious, you no longer feel the pressure to prove yourself. You no longer feel the need to explain your choices. You no longer fear being misunderstood, because now you understand yourself, and that's enough. People might say you've changed. They might think you're cold or distant. That's okay. Let them wonder. You don't have to defend your silence. You don't have to explain your calmness. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them feel the absence of your energy, because what they feel is not rejection. It's your transformation. You're no longer giving yourself away for cheap. You've become a mystery, and that mystery has made you powerful. Silence is a statement, and sometimes it says more than any speech ever could. It says, I know my worth. I don't need attention. I don't need approval. I am not here to entertain anyone. That message is louder than words, and it leaves a mark. You don't have to shout to be strong. You don't have to explain to be understood. You don't have to be seen all the time to be respected. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear for a while, speak less, and let your presence become a mystery. Because in that mystery, people finally begin to see your true value. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks louder than noise. My presence creates mystery. In the teachings of the Stoics, silence is not weakness. It is strength, restraint, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. That includes how much we give of ourselves, our time, energy, and emotions to people who never earned it. The truth is, when you are too easy to reach, you lose control over your peace. You become emotionally available to chaos. And slowly, without even noticing, you stop belonging to yourself. Stoicism teaches us to stay centered within, to protect our emotions from being tossed around by every passing opinion, drama, or demand. It teaches us to detach, not from love, but from dependency, not from people, but from the need to be constantly needed. The less noise you allow into your soul, the more space you create for clarity. In that space, you can reflect, you can grow, you can return to who you really are, without the masks, without the noise, without trying to be understood all the time. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you win. Every time you walk away instead of explaining yourself, you win. Every time you stop giving your energy to those who never reciprocate it, you win. The stoic man or woman does not chase attention. They don't beg to be understood. They don't seek validation through availability. They stand firm, calm, grounded, and that's why they are respected. Because their silence is not confusion. It is power. You don't have to disappear from life, but you do have to pull your energy back into your hands. Give it only where it grows. Share it only where it's safe. And remember, not everyone deserves access to your heart, especially those who only value you when you're convenient. Let silence build your strength. Let distance reveal your worth. And let restraint become your new way of living. I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. In silence, I rise. In distance, I am respected. Like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe for more content rooted in depth, strength, and the truth of human nature. Don't just watch, live it.